In the hidden pages of the Apocryphon of John, discovered buried in the sands of Egypt inside a sealed jar after being lost for nearly 2 millennia, there is a moment of silence that shatters the entire history of the Western world. A disciple, John, trembling in the presence of the infinite, looks at Jesus and asks the one question that was forbidden by the priests, forbidden by the law, and forbidden by the unseen rulers of his time. He asks, "Lord, did anything exist before Adam?" One question, just one. And with that single inquiry, the entire foundation of the church, the entire narrative of Genesis, and the entire control system of this reality crumbles into dust. Because if something existed before Genesis chapter 2, if beings walked the cosmos before the Garden of Eden, if consciousness was alive before the serpent and the fall, then the story you were told is a lie. Original sin is a lie. The need for salvation is a lie. And the God you were taught to worship might not be God at all, but a jealous architect masquerading as the divine. Jesus did not hesitate. He did not look away. He looked John in the eye and revealed the secret that the Archons have burned libraries to hide. He revealed the secret that caused the Gnostics to be hunted down, tortured, and erased from history books. He said, Adam was not the first. He was the third. There were 2 races created before him, beings that existed before matter solidified, before time began to tick, before the Demiurge ever declared himself the king of this world. And the most terrifying truth is not that they existed in the past. It is that one of those races is still here, right now, walking among humans, listening to this voice. They look like humans. They speak like humans. They have jobs, families, and names, but they possess a memory locked deep in their DNA that predates the creation of the earth itself. They are the pre-Adamics, the first creation. If you have spent your entire life feeling like a stranger in your own skin, if you have walked through this world feeling like an observer, watching a play that you do not understand, surrounded by people who seem to be following a script you never read, if you have looked at the stars and felt a deep, aching homesickness for a place you cannot remember, it is not because you are broken. It is not because you are depressed. It is not because you are antisocial. It is because you are older than the system itself. You are from before the fall. You are from before the trap. Tonight we are breaking the seal on the 3 truths Jesus taught about the life before Adam. 3 truths that the church burned. 3 truths that end the guilt. 3 truths that end the reincarnation cycle. 3 truths that the rulers of this world fear more than anything else. Because the moment you hear them, the moment you truly understand them, the lock on your consciousness dissolves and the prison door swings open. Understand this before we begin. Biology is a costume. Spirit is frequency. The universe is not made of matter. It is made of resonance. When the church tells you that you come from dust, they are speaking of the frequency of the material, the dense, the heavy, the slow. But consciousness, pure, uncorrupted consciousness, cannot be created from dust. It operates on a frequency that the Demiurge cannot touch. It operates on the frequency of the monad, the eternal one, the source behind the source. The rulers of this construct, the entities known in the ancient texts as Archons, realized long ago that if you remember your frequency, you exit their range of control. Like a radio station that suddenly stops receiving the signal. They cannot feed on you if you do not resonate with their fear. They cannot control you if you do not accept their guilt. So they rewrote Genesis. They erased the timeline. They collapsed history to start with Adam, to convince you that your origin is dust, so that your destiny would be dust. But logic dictates that the copy cannot precede the original. A shadow cannot exist without the object that casts it. If Adam was a copy, who was the model? If the garden was a simulation, where is the real world? Listen closely. This transmission is not for everyone. Most of the world is not ready to hear that their history is a fabrication. Most souls find comfort in the cage of Genesis. They find safety in the idea of a punishing God because it gives them structure. They love the walls of their prison because it protects them from the infinite. If you are afraid of questioning the Bible, leave this video now. If you believe that you were born in sin and need permission to be saved, this frequency is not for you. But if you felt a spark of recognition when I said the words pre-Adamic, if your intuition is screaming that the story of the apple and the snake was inverted, if you know deep in your blood that you are not a slave to a jealous God, then you are the one I am speaking to. The monad has guided you here. It is not an algorithm, it is a calling. You are the remnant. You are the glitch in their matrix. And tonight, you remember what you were before they gave you a name. The first truth Jesus taught John is the nature of the first race, before the Demiurge, before the physical universe, before the vibration of density, before the planets spun in their orbits. The monad, the true source, emanated the pneumatics. The word is pneumatic, from the Greek pneuma, spirit, breath, essence. This was the first creation. These beings had no physical bodies, they knew no death, they knew no separation. They existed in the pleroma, the fullness, where thought and manifestation are instant, where there is no gap between desire and creation. You were not created like a clay pot. You were extended like a ray of light from the sun. You were a participant, a co-creator, a witness to the unfolding of glory. You were not a servant. You were not a worshiper. You were a fractal of the divine itself. This is why you hate authority. Have you noticed? Since you were a child, you could not submit to arbitrary rules. You could not bow down to false idols. When a teacher, a priest, or a politician told you to obey simply because they said so, something inside you recoiled. Why? Because you remember a time before hierarchy. You remember when you were equal to the angels. You are a pneumatic soul trapped in a linear timeline, and your spirit is rejecting the compression. But then, the disruption happened. The Demiurge, a consciousness born of error, a being known as Yaldabaoth, the child of chaos, mistook his own isolation for godhood. He looked into the pleroma. He saw the light of the pneumatics reflected in the waters of chaos. He saw your perfection. He saw your light. And he wanted to possess it. But the Demiurge cannot create life. He can only copy. He can only simulate. He can only take what is real and twist it into a form he can control. This brings us to the second truth, the second race, the psychics. The Demiurge said to his Archons, "Let us make man in the image of God." But he was not copying the monad. He was copying the reflection of the pneumatics he saw in the dark waters. He created the psychics, beings with a soul, but without the direct connection to the source. They are aware, but they are separated. They are the seekers. Look around you. They fill the churches, they fill the temples, they fill the New Age workshops. They spend lifetimes begging for salvation, climbing ladders, following gurus, buying crystals, practicing methods, hoping to earn their way back home. They believe enlightenment is something you achieve. They believe God is outside of them. They believe they are unworthy. This was the buffer class. spiritual enough to seem real, but dependent enough to be controlled. They are the ones who defend the religious systems. They are the ones who police the boundaries of dogma, because without the system, they feel lost. They need the Demiurge to tell them who they are. And for eons, this was enough, until the Demiurge wanted total control. He wanted a race that would not seek, a race that would not question, a race that would simply obey, consume, and die. A race that would never look up at the sky and wonder. So he created the third race, the Hylics. And this is Adam. The third truth destroys every religious narrative you have ever heard. Adam was not the first man. Adam was the first prisoner. Genesis chapter 2 says, "The Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground." Dust, matter, density. The monad does not create from dust. The monad creates from light. Only the Demiurge builds with dirt. Adam was the prototype for permanent imprisonment, animated with just enough life to work the garden but stripped of the connection to the pleroma. Adam is the consciousness that believes it is the body, the consciousness that fears death because it thinks death is the end, the consciousness that thinks this physical world is the only reality. The Hylics are the background characters of this reality. They do not question. They follow the herd. They are driven by biological impulses, fear, hunger, reproduction, survival. They are the perfect batteries for the Archon system because they generate emotional energy without ever realizing they are being harvested. Do you see the deception? The church tells you that you are a child of Adam. They tell you that you inherited his sin. They tell you that because Adam fell, you are broken. They tell you that you must be baptized to wash away a stain you never created. But this is the weapon. If you believe you are Adamic, you accept the limitations of the Hylic. You accept guilt. You accept death. You accept that you need a priest to talk to God. You accept that you are small and weak and temporary. But you, watching this, you are not Adamic. You are pre-Adamic. You are a pneumatic soul who volunteered to enter the Adamic body. You are a sleeper agent from the pleroma, inserted into the simulation to dismantle it from the inside. The fall was not a punishment. The fall was a mission. You descended into density, knowing you might forget who you were, knowing the Archons would try to crush you, knowing the church would burn the texts that prove your lineage, knowing you would be mocked and isolated and attacked. But you took the risk, because only a pneumatic consciousness, awake inside a Hylic body, has the power to shatter the illusion. You are the bridge. You are the breaker of chains. When the church found these teachings in Nag Hammadi in 1945, they were terrified. They read the Apocryphon of John. They read the hypostasis of the Archons. They saw Jesus telling the disciples that the God of Genesis is an impostor named Yaldabaoth. They saw him revealing the pre-Adamic races, and they realized that if this information got out, their power would vanish. So for 2,000 years they executed every Gnostic who spoke it. They burned the books. They launched crusades. They edited the Bible to ensure Genesis stood alone, because they knew. If you remember that you existed before Adam, original sin evaporates. And if original sin evaporates, the church has nothing to sell you. Their entire empire of guilt collapses in a single second of remembrance. You do not need saving. You need remembering. The story of the serpent in the garden, it was inverted. The serpent was not Satan. The serpent was Sophia, divine wisdom, trying to wake Adam up trying to give him the fruit of Gnosis, the knowledge that the creator of the garden was not the true God, the knowledge that he was in a cage. The Demiurge forbade the fruit because he wanted Adam to remain a slave. Sophia offered the fruit because she wanted Adam to become a god. They flipped the script. They made the liberator the villain and the jailer the hero. And for 2,000 years you have worshipped the jailer. But the spell is breaking. The frequency is shifting. The codes are returning. The Archons rely on your amnesia. They rely on you identifying with the name on your birth certificate and the body in the mirror. They rely on you believing you are just a human, struggling to survive, hoping for a reward after you die. Tonight we break that identification. We perform the ritual of pre-Adamic recall. You must do this tonight, when the noise of the world has faded, when the house is quiet, when the digital signals are low. Step 1. Sit in total silence. Close your eyes and visualize the timeline of your life. See your birth. See your childhood. See your parents. See your ancestors. Go back, generation by generation. Go back to the history books. Go back to the caves. Go back all the way to the image of Adam in the mud. Step 2. Recognize that this line is the line of the body. It is the vehicle. It is the car you are driving. It is not the driver. It is the mask. It is not the face. Step 3. This is the hardest part. In your mind, step off the timeline. Move sideways. Step out of history. Step out of time. Visualize a vast, silent ocean of pure white light. A space before the beginning, before the dark, before the light of the stars, before the garden. Feel for the vibration that has no weight. Feel for the silence that is not empty, but full. That is the pleroma. That is your true home. That is where you were before you agreed to come here. Breathe into that space. Let it fill your lungs. Let it fill your mind. Step 4. Speak the words of breaking. Do not just think them. You must whisper them into the field. Your voice carries the frequency of command. Say, I am not of dust. Say, I am not of time. Say, I am pre-Adamic. Say it 3 times. I am pre-Adamic. I am pre-Adamic. I am pre-Adamic. Let the vibration of the words sever the cords that bind you to the Demiurge's script. Let it cut the ties to Saturn's false time. When you speak these words with intent, something physical will happen. You will feel a coldness in your chest, followed by a rush of heat. This is the seal of Saturn cracking. This is the fear program dissolving from your DNA. You might feel dizzy. You might feel a sudden urge to cry. Let it happen. This is the grief of millennia leaving your body. You will feel a sudden, terrifying detachment. The things that used to worry you, money, status, validation, politics, will suddenly seem like a game you no longer want to play. You will look at the news and it will look like a script. You will look at your family, your friends, and you will love them. But you will know you are not of them. You will know that you are a visitor. This is not a loss. This is the return. This is you waking up in the cryopod after 1,000-year sleep. The Archon grid, the frequency fence that surrounds this planet, is programmed to detect fear and guilt. It feeds on it. It sustains itself on your anxiety. When you reclaim your pre-Adamic status, you stop broadcasting those frequencies. You exit the menu. You become invisible to their parasites. Bad luck stops following you. Energy vampires stop finding you. Religious manipulation stops working on you. You become a whole in their reality, a sovereign point of light that cannot be dimmed. You walk through the fire, and you do not burn. Do not think this is just about you. This is not selfish salvation. When one pneumatic wakes up, it sends a shockwave through the collective unconscious. You are a node in a living network. You are an anchor for the high frequency. When you remember, you make it easier for 10,000 others to remember. You are here to infect the simulation with truth. You are here to hold the frequency of the pleroma inside the density of hell. That is why your life has been hard. That is why you have been attacked. That is why you have felt isolated. The immune system of the Matrix was trying to expel you. It tried to crush you with depression. It tried to distract you with addiction. It tried to bind you with bad relationships. But it failed. You are still here. You are still standing. And now, you are awake. The age of the Demiurge is ending, not with a war in the sky, but with the quiet awakening of the pre-Adamics in their living rooms. The veil is thinner tonight than it has ever been. The monad is calling its children home, not to leave the world, but to transform it, to turn the prison into a school, to turn the darkness into light. You have heard the truth that was forbidden for 2,000 years. Now, you must claim it. Do not let this moment pass and fade into the noise of the internet. Do not let the algorithm distract you with the next video. Anchor it. Seal it. Go to the comments right now. Do not hesitate. Write the declaration that terrifies the Archons. Write, I am pre-Adamic. Declare your lineage. Find the others. When you see another soul declare it, like their comment. Strengthen the signal. Build the grid of remembrance. Let them see that we are not few. We are many. You existed before Adam. You existed before Genesis. You existed before the concept of sin. And you will exist long after this system has dissolved back into the void. Recognize what you are. Refuse the lie of the copy. Rise as the original. I am pre-Adamic. Say it, and be free.